Hi, everybody, and welcome to Geography 100, Introduction to Geography. My name is Sasha Davis, and I'm going to be the professor for this class this summer. And in this brief introduction, I just want to say a couple of things. Mostly make sure you get on the Canvas page and take a look at what the assignments are that we have coming up and take a look at the syllabus. But one of the things that's interesting about doing this class in the spring of 2020, or excuse me, in the summer of 2021, is that this is obviously a time of great change in the world because of the way the pandemic has unfolded over the last couple of years and the way in which the world is now kind of getting set to sort of reconnect. And so one of the things about this class is that I've done this class now, the past several summers, and it's a little different every time because of the way in which the world around us has changed. So, for instance, right now I'm talking to you in May of 2021. Some of the outdoor mask mandates for people who are vaccinated have just recently been lifted, and folks are starting to get out and about a little bit. But of course, over the course of the last few years, the way I would introduce this class has changed a lot. So I've got a couple little clips of how I've introduced it that have some really important information about this class and what you need to know, but you'll notice how the context has shifted quite a bit over the last couple of years.
Hi everybody, welcome to this term's class of Geography 100. In this class we're going to be looking at a lot of stuff around geography all around the world, and I just want to say a few things in this introductory video. So basically I have four big things to say to you in this introduction video. First thing, get online, get on Canvas, and read the syllabus. The whole thing. That way you're going to understand where we're going in this term from the beginning all the way to the end. The second thing, make sure you get the book because you're going to be reading the whole thing this term because the different modules link up to the book chapters. So the third thing I want to say is just sort of introduction to what it is that we're going to do in this class, which is we're going to be looking at all different aspects of how to understand the world, right? And one of the things about geography is that it's a way of looking at things that looks at the physical environment, it looks at the climate, it also looks at the human activity that goes on in places to kind of understand how the world works. And so most of you probably know in the geography classes, one of the big things you're supposed to know is where places are, right? But geography is really much more than that. That's really only the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to look at. And so, for instance, let me just back up and say, in geography, we really try to look at four questions when we're looking at a particular place. And so the first thing that we always ask is, where is something? Where is it, right? And so, for instance, right now, I am in Shanghai, in China, with a Keene State class. You can here turn and see everybody wave. All right. And so the first thing to know about Shanghai would be where is it located, right? And so we know most people know this in China, and it's close to the Pacific Ocean, and it's really on the confluence between the Huangpu River and the Yangtze River. And that's one of the things that, just in terms of where it's located. But that's really not the most interesting things about Shanghai. So in geography, the first thing we ask is, what is it? But after that, where is it? The second thing we ask is, what is it? What is it that this place is like? Why is it that this is one of the largest metropolitan areas on the planet? Why do we have this kind of architecture across the river in this area that's called the Pudong New area? And then if we look that way, we see these old European kind of colonial style buildings. Well, so the second question we ask usually is, what is it about a place that makes it interesting? And so to answer that, the third thing that we ask in geography is kind of, how did a place come to be the way that it is? What's its history? We also look at things like, why did it come together as a city on the confluence of these two rivers? And part of it is because of the proximity of the Yangtze River. It was a good place where trade from the inside of China can come down the Yangtze River and then meet the trade that then goes across the Pacific to the rest of the world. And so that's one reason why you have such a big city here. But there's also a history of European colonialism when the British were here, the French were here, the Americans were here, and controlled certain parts of Shanghai, and so that made it a really important trading hub. And then later, if we go back over here to Pudong, one of the things that then started happening is that they started developing some of this area across the riverfront as the city has really grown, and it's more than doubled in the last 10 to 20 years. So again, that third thing we look at is sort of, what is it, or how did a place come to be? The last thing we look at then when we look at places is sort of an ethical question, which is, should it be that way? We'll ask questions when we're looking at different places, like we'll say, well, is this, environmentally sustainable? Is this, really the way people want to live in a city of this size? These sort of questions. And so we usually ask kind of ethical questions about why places are the way they are. So throughout this semester, we'll get much more into these kinds of things, but I wanted to give you an idea of the approach that we're going to take in this class during this term. And so for now, make sure you get the book, make sure that you take a look at the syllabus, the whole thing, and if you do have any questions, always feel free to email me, and I'm looking forward to a good term. Thanks.
Okay, so now back here to 2021, you can see how things have changed quite a bit in terms of the way that I've taught geography over the last couple of years, from being able to walk around the streets of Shanghai, to being stuck in my bedroom, to now being in an era where things are starting to kind of reconnect. And this is, again, why some of the subject matter that we're going to talk about in this class is so important, because things have obviously changed, but there's some underlying things about the way the world works, both in terms of like physical and environmental processes, but also in terms of human societies, that now is a really good opportunity to kind of look at the way in which the world has been interconnected, the way in which some of those connections have been changed over the last couple of years, and how it may reconnect again as we move forward. So again, as just mentioned in the other part of this video, make sure you get on Canvas, read the syllabus carefully, look at some of the coming assignments, and realize that I'll be sending announcements very regularly. Make sure you're checking your Keene State email. And as we get rolling with this class starting on June 1, there'll be much more to come. All right, thank you.